Our differences, let love heal all that's broken.
To share this room today, and those of you who are with us,
if you need truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.
Let's share the room, share the room, share the room. You might want to take yourself and go and get everybody on your platform. What to do? Welcome again to Proceeding Word. Also, beat up on Facebook. Make sure you like the line, get those out, go and you know what time it is. Welcome to the Proceeding Word. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. We are here today, all things with you. We want to make sure you get this.
If you need truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.
Well, welcome to the program. Again, this is yours truly, Apostle B.W. Jones on the Proceeding Word. Of course, on location, always traveling. Got so much to do across this globe and share the gospel of our Savior, who is Yeshua HaMashiach. Many of you know him as Jesus the Christ. Well, that's what you know him as. His actual name was Yahshua in the Hebrew, and HaMashiach. That's right. Our Savior in flesh, our King, our hope, our grace, our peace, our joy. The Bible declares that when Messiah was with us on the earth, he told a tempter in his life, and we know him to be Satan, actually the evil of spirit, and the spirit of evil, and said to him while he was in what we call typically within Christendom the 40 days of temptation, he actually said to this temptation, man shall not live by bread alone. He was asked, turn, if you be the Son of God, turn this stone into some bread. Our Savior Messiah, our Savior Yeshua HaMashiach looked at him and said very affirmatively, man, humanity, shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. All right. Well, welcome to the Proceeding Word. Glad to have you all with us today. We have some great people with you. We've got a program for you, I think, that you're going to enjoy. It'll probably run today, and we may get them back for another one not long after. It depends on how well we do on this one. So I'm going to need y'all to pay attention and listen up today, as I'm going to yield my microphone, sort of kind of like a little bit, to allow those who are with us today to come in and bring some knowledge to us. So moderators, you are here with us. If you are prepared, I hope you've read your description for the day. And if our moderators are prepared and ready to get going, we're going to render the field to you now.
Shalom and welcome to the Proceeding Word today. And I want to take a special note of our guest today, who is Kevin McGary. And so the topic for today is the interview with Kevin McGary, the author of Walked Up. So just before I proceed, don't forget that he is one of the co-founders of every Black Lives Matters. So please, why don't you just take this opportunity to ping somebody? Don't forget, if you on Clubhouse. If you follow the 2 prongs down below, I can see no one has yet shared this room.
No one has shared the room. No one has shared on Facebook. I don't understand. You're not ready for the truth. You can't handle the truth. Wake up. Come on, share. Let's go.
We're going to get going. There's 39 of us here in this room, so if everybody does that, that would be a great plug for today's topic. Don't forget, in the preceding word, we're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join us back here tonight at 7 p.m. for our weekly Bible study, where we present under Darash Kingdom Ministries. And also, don't forget, we're here every Thursday for our Bible Book Club, where we're continuing a very slow, exciting and exhaustive read through the book of Genesis. And we're here at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll find us here as we honor the Sabbath every Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we continue to honor Sabbath and to look at the How to Sabbath while we go through from Genesis right through to Deuteronomy, as we look at the Torah and what it may have for us. And then we'll pick back up those studies again at 11 p.m. 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. You are invited to come and fellowship with us here every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. every Sunday morning, where we broadcast live through Facebook, and we open the invitation for you to join us here in Clubhouse. So do come along and join with us. Don't forget, we've got visibility on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and we are also presenting live here in Clubhouse. We want to take note for you to say thank you for being here with us. If you're on Clubhouse, please do continue to share, and if you're on Facebook, we would only expect for you to come in, comment through the broadcast, and like and share. Thank you, Apostle. Back to you.
Well, we're grateful. Thank you very much for all that you do for us. We got the best mods. We got the best mods on the planet. Glad to have you all with us. We are here to learn just a few things today about a very important and sincere subject matter. And I'm hoping that you guys can glean from this today, and we can watch Yahweh our Elohim get the greatest and the best out of all things that are here with us today. So some of you that know what you're doing on Facebook, some of you know what you're doing on Clubhouse, go ahead and make shares. We're not telling you guys to beg people to come in, but I think today we got a lot of people that view us even in our archives because they're at work. But if you can today, I'm asking you to make a ping. I think that the information our co-host has today is very important for many of us to share. So if you have and are an influencer, I think that this individual at some point, if you are a part of the programming and the subject matter we discuss, you might find him extremely good and instrumental in the elements that we will be discussing today, and maybe to share with the people you influence and keep them, as we love to say, woke. All right. So we're going to look at this from a different perspective. I'm so glad to have him with us, and I won't take a whole bunch of time waiting to get to this. I just want to make sure we have all things for him. He is the author of a book called Woke Up. And there was some praise that was given to the book that is called Woke Up. And one individual who gave some good praises was a Dr. Jim Garlow. He was a CEO of Well Versed. And so he said this about the book Woke Up that our author is about to present to you today, Mr. Kevin McGary. So he says, Mr. Kevin McGary is a gifted researcher and a writer with masterful skills in dissecting and framing current socio-cultural issues. Dr. Jim Garlow says he is my resource for critical race theory, CRT issues, fatherhood and unity and reconciliation. Kevin's keen foresight puts him at the forefront to effectively battle major problems plaguing America. With this particular book, readers will surely gain knowledge and strategy to combat one of the most significant cultural battles of our time. Watch this, y'all. It's been now dubbed wokeism. Dr. Jim Garlow says, I encourage you to read and support McGary and his admirable works. Again, that is from Dr. Jim Garlow. Now, another individual who wrote some praises about this book after they read it was a gentleman by the name of William J. Federer, nationally known speaker, best-selling author, and president of Americhurch Incorporated. He writes, Kevin McGary's book, Woke Up, is a masterpiece with insights that cut straight to the heart of pressing issues facing America. He peels back the deceptive facade of wokeism and exposes the superpower of truth needed to win the perpetual battle of good versus evil. Kevin is articulate, brilliant, courageous in championing the godly values that so urgently need to be passed on to our children. You will be better equipped to confront the weaponized narratives of Darwinism, racism, white supremacy, which are being used to divide the country. I believe that the Lord has raised up Kevin McGary for such a time as this. You will be challenged, you will be inspired, you will be empowered to win over the culture after reading Mr. McGary's book, Woke Up. Again, William J. Federer, national known speaker, best-selling author and president of AmeriSearch, gives that reference. Now, I want to make sure you understand this about this overview of this book. Woke Up was written to go directly after the quote-unquote woke movement. And he goes after them with facts, and he goes after them with, like me, historicity. He goes with no mere, eisegetical viewpoint. He comes in with facts of the histories that many times we gloss over because it's not a viral or trending theme, statement, or catchphrase, an idiom. He does like me. He gets into the history of how we got here, what we're doing while we're here, and where is our pathway out of this. I had opportunity to sit with this great man. He and another a co-founder with him in Every Black Lives Matter movement, which is, that's right, we said it rightly. You're like, wait a minute, that don't sound right. Black Lives Matter movement? No, this is a different movement, which I think everybody needs to have their ears bent over to listen to and give some a credence to. But this movement that he has co-founded with Neil Mammon is known as Every Black Lives Matter. Every Black Lives Matter. Not what you're thinking, but you need to hear that as well. But this book today we're talking about, called Woke Up, again, written directly to affect the woke movement with facts, accurate history, albeit quite inconvenient for the woke progressives. He is a bit more into politics than most who are supposed Christians carrying the banner of salvation. But in my conversations with him, I got a chance to meet him and sit with him and chat with him and hear his heart while looking in his eyes. And for me to actually give you space on program, if you know me, it's important that people speak truth and speak a narrative that brings solutions, not problem bantering, but the solutions, and not just their preference on life, but solutions that bring unity. And then sitting with he and his wonderful partners that he's doing a lot of co-laboring with, I was impressed and felt it important for you all to get this information. He's also going to be starting a page on some platforms near you that you need to be joined up with and connected to. So if you see these individuals on our platform today, they should be all on stage with microphones. Kevin McGary, sir, I'm going to open up this microphone and let you come on, man. And I hope that we've introduced you well enough. There's more I could tell you about the book and the overlay. Matter of fact, let me just do that for a second, Kevin, because I think they need a bit, just a little bit more of you. But Neil, I think he's called Neil Politics. Is that right? I think it's called Neil Politics. He should be on stage with a microphone, as well as one of his co-laborers, also Mr. Lonnie, who is new to Clubhouse. Y'all give him a hand clap. Lonnie, how you doing, sir? They all got those little yellow circles and little nice little logos that they're carrying on. So y'all give him a clap if y'all will, and welcome him to Clubhouse. Y'all stay out them crazy rooms though. I don't want to see y'all. I don't want to come out and hear no rooms on y'all. And Clubhouse people, y'all know what I'm talking about. They'll put a room on you in a minute and call you the devil and everything else and whatever it is. But y'all just make sure you be wise walking these Clubhouse streets. But the book overview for Woke Up was written again to go directly after the woke movement, with facts and be accurate. Instead of proclamations socially preening about woke supporters of quote unquote Black Lives movements, CRT, and the avowed Marxist. Wokesters should be ashamed and roundly condemned. Why? Because while these emerging social influences have a huge following, these machinations and schemes are manifestly based on really white supremacy and racism. All of these issues are not only thoroughly addressed in this book, but they are also decimated. Also, false narratives with facts and truth. Woke Up defines precisely why and how today's Marxist false narratives are specifically designed to destroy and never to unify. It helps, this book, to explain the precise moments when racism and white supremacy and rampant atheism and genocide, eugenics, sexism, misogyny, virtually all which are modern day evils, were unleashed on our people. And he explains by whom. We need to combat those mentioned above effectively. That's why Woke Up was written. With that in mind, it is, as I'm finding to be truthfully, and he is recommending, a must read. This book arms this particular movement and mindset with facts that will enable essential discussions that will flip the script on the historically woke missions by exposing them to historically factual truths about their own derelictions. All right. We're going to talk about some things that you'll discover in this book as we now release the microphone to our dear brother and our colleague in the faith, as well as, though he is a bit more political than I am at present with certain things, this dear brother, Kevin McGary, author of Woke Up. Y'all woke yet? Kevin, how are you, sir?
Apostle Jones, thank you, brother, for such a great intro. Man, you bring it. You bring the fire.
Yahweh be praised.
It's good to be here. It's just an honor and privilege for me to be here with you in your clubhouse room and to see so many that are joining. It's really encouraging. So no, it's fantastic. It was fantastic to meet you and spend that time together. And I'm just honored to be here. So thank you again for having me.
Well, we're really glad to have you with us as well. I know you got your co-laborer here with us as well, Brother Neil and Neil Mammon, great gentleman. Got a chance to sit and chat with him. And as we say, chop it up a little bit, talk about some things. Anything you want to share or give Neil space to before we dive directly into all things that are you, Kevin McGary, and Kevin McGary, while we talk about Woke Up and this time. You want to give him some space?
Yeah, just a couple things. So Neil's the correct actual enunciation of his name is Mammon, M-O-M, but it's spelled man.
Man, hold up. Straighten me out right now. Neil, you let me sit there with dinner with you and call you Mammon all that time. You know that's a demigod, Neil. Why you let me do that, Neil? Get that man off of mute. Come on up here, Neil. Take your microphone off, sir. Hit the microphone at the bottom right. Neil, why you let me call you Neil Mammon?
You can't serve both God and Mammon. It's actually an Irish name, very interesting, Mammon, but people pronounce it all different ways, so it doesn't really. But thank you, Kevin.
You know, us Christians take stuff for granted. We just assume that we are the elite and we can say whatever we want. Why you let me call you Mammon all that time and it was Mammon?
Well, because it really doesn't bother me all that much. It actually bothers my wife more than me, because I'm used to people mutilating it. So
I'm so glad we got.
Being sensitive to it.
See, Kevin is your friend, I promise you, because I'm so glad y'all helped me out before I met your wife, because that's gonna happen. I don't need her punching me in my throat. And I'm crying, hey guys, I matter. All right, so Kevin, the floor is yours. Anything you want to share with Neil or have Neil bring out?
So one other quick thing I'd like to just make sure everybody understands that where every Black life, L-I-F-E, matters.
Pardon me.
And so we are closely situated from a moniker perspective to BLM. We did some things on purpose there. And so, maybe I should start there. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that today.
No, let's get to your book. Yeah.
This discussion. But I do want people to understand that every Black life matters. Everyblm.com, everyblm.com. You can go to the website and see what we're all about. Fundamentally, we are the righteous and faithful alternative to Black Lives Matter. When we saw the riots, the carnage, the hatred, the violence, the burning down of Black and brown businesses in our community, Neil and I, actually his wife, suggested that we start an alternative movement. Clearly, people wanted to support the Black community, especially based on what they saw with George Floyd. But, BLM was, avowed Marxist, anti-father, anti-nuclear family, it's just so many things that were just hard to reconcile for people of faith. So we decided to start Every Black Life Matters, because Black life matters from conception to the grave, and every phase of Black life in between. So while we have these organizations that are strictly focused on police brutality and mostly just white police on Black citizens, that is not the totality of Black life.
Correct.
In this room would attest to. Our life is, we have many other issues.
Far more.
And we have various plights that we still have to overcome. Mm-hmm. And some of those are policy-based and strategic. And so Neil and I wanted to start Every Black Life Matters, so we can actually begin to address areas of systemic plight that affect the Black community and all phases of Black life in between. And so if you go to our website, you get more information about us there.
Great.
So I did write this book. Now, as I explained to you, Apostle Jones, the way that Holy Spirit works with me is he basically gives me unction and says, okay, and then I open up my laptop and then I just start going. I really had no idea where I was going with this message and where it would end up. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's a flow of Holy Spirit just doing a download. And that's the only way I can write. Writing is very difficult, arduous, arcane. It's just intense. But for me, if I just let Holy Spirit flow, it's easy. So my 5 books I've written, and I've always written them in a matter of several weeks as opposed to several months or years. And this one is no different. It took me about 8 weeks to assimilate everything, 8 or 9 weeks, something like that. But and essentially, it ended up really addressing the woke movement. Now, we hear woke all the time, mostly in the context of leftist progressivism and all of those. One of the main sort of hysterical notions that wokesters constantly berate others about is being a white supremacist, racist, privileged, and some of these other pejoratives, white nationalists, Christian nationalists, white evangelical. I mean, you name it. It's just all over the place. And so what I wanted to do is really figure out, well, what's driving this movement? What's it really all about? Fundamentally, how do we get into wokeism and really address what it is and what it's not? And so based upon my writing, I can assure you it is not a righteous and just movement to be a part of. As a matter of fact, as I said, as Apostle Jones read, one of the things that I come out front and tell you, look, if you're a wokester, it is not, by the end of this book, you will not be gleefully, proudly pronounce yourself as woke or a Marxist or revolutionary Marxist. You'll clearly understand that those are the problem. So let's talk about where I started on this quest to really uncover wokeism and what it's all about. I started fundamentally looking at, because when you hear about the whole woke movement, you always hear about Marxism as being the root that really is principally upholding, it undergirds the woke movement. And all of those that would identify as wokesters, including BLMers, and that they always, say that they're revolutionary Marxists and all of that. So Marxism is fundamentally, essentially, a driving force for the woke movement. So I wanted to start there, but then I got a bit of a correction. The Holy Spirit said, no. Marx did not exist in a vacuum. He did not virally come about. Somebody influenced them. And you need to start with that somebody. So I said, that's interesting. So I went back and took a look at some of Marx's works and his early works in particular. And all of his early works he dedicated to Charles Robert Darwin. And that was really interesting and peculiar. So I started with Darwin because Darwin was quite a scientist and a major influencer. And so I started with his works, took a look at his books on natural selection and, his books on the origin of species and the descent of man. And in his book on origin of species and natural selection, the subtitle is for the preservation of most favored races. And I thought, wow, that is really interesting. Why would Darwin, start that? And so I started to do some investigation and realized that Darwin really had an idea about races and racism that ultimately unleashed our modern day white supremacy and racism. And it's not even debatable. So I'll debate a scholar or professors anywhere in the world on this issue because it's really, really clear with his writings, his letters, the books that he's written. So Darwin is the one who literally unleashed modern day white supremacy and racism. Now I've heard already from people that say, look, you can't, come on. It's not just one person. It's, white supremacy, racism, or supremacy of any type is known as the fall of man of the Garden of Eden. That's absolutely true. Absolutely. No debate there. But what happened prior to Darwin's proclamations about race and white supremacy was people would come in contact with other ethnicities or tribes. Ancient, times, people would just stay away from certain tribes, in certain other parts, certain geographies where other people that weren't like them lived because they either didn't like them or they weren't comfortable with them or whatever. We've always had these types of things go on. This is just fundamental to for being human, right? And so we had these ideas of people not liking one another when they come in contact with one another because they hail from a different part of the world or different tribe or different geography. That's always happened. But it wasn't until Darwin made the distinctions about race that really unleashed it. Now you have to understand, when we as human beings, as God's creators, make linguistic distinctions, we are literally creating things. This is how things are created. So Darwin created.
I think we lost you, bro. Can you hear me, Kevin?
He got a phone call. Kevin, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Mr. McGary.
Okay.
Now you were sharing about you got cut off. You can
break in if you need.
Yeah.
I'll just continue this thought, and then we can take
I want
pause if you like.
I want you to bring it back. You got cut off, and we couldn't hear what you were saying on a certain part of that. So you had begun with you were speaking about when you start to verbalize a particular nuance, and if you can pick it up from there, I think we all might be able to follow you again.
Yeah. So as God's creators, he made us in his image, which means that he gave us the capacity to make linguistic distinctions about things that didn't exist prior, and then they start to exist when we said it. For instance, when Adam named animals, prior to him naming them, they were just animals.
Mm-hmm.
So he, but when he gave them, when he defined them, oh, that's a lion, that's a hyena, that's a, whatever. That was when they actually began to exist. This is how language is. This is how we create things.
And let me jump in with you there, because we firmly believed here that we live in a voice activated kingdom. And one of the things that we talk about from the Torah base, and do not lose your thought, but I want to make sure we interject this here again, because when Adam goes into the Sabbath with Yahweh, and he has been given this job to oversee the Adoma, the beast of the field, the creeping things, all the things that came out of the Adoma. And he sits down with Yahweh, and he begins to explain to him all things. Adam's dominion, and this adds credence to what you're saying, Adam's dominion isn't activated in the land of his dominion until he actually articulates and begins to speak those items. So the bear was the bear, the lion was the lion, the duck-billed platypus was the duck-billed platypus. But until who Yahweh created to have dominion actually speaks their names into existence, that dominion then makes everything line up. That verbiage, that articulation, that expression, that sound, that emittance of sound begins to trigger the alignment of everything beneath Adam's posture and position as dominion and leader. I love that you at least put that part in there. It's very important, because people don't realize you live in a voice-activated kingdom. What you say becomes, in many instances, depending on how much you repeat it and you believe it, it becomes your gospel, as it were. Very good. Very good piece. I'm sorry, but I want to make sure we interjected that. Go ahead, my brother. Finish your thought.
Excellent with the elaboration on that. I appreciate that. So here's the thing. So Darwin, he was a noted scientist, well-known, world-renowned, had done a lot of science on plants, and had really done some solid work. So this is not a denunciation of all of Darwin. But when he started to delve into sort of the social, cultural realm, is when he really began to make some huge mistakes. So here's the deal. Darwin actually, so when he was actually, since this is all Christians, pretty much Christian clubhouse, I'd like to say this. Darwin actually started quite well. He was an Anglican Christian, and he actually believed in God, wrote a lot of his works growing up as a young boy, and he honored God, and his family was God-fearing family and all of that. When he went to college is when he started to get these other things, and most notably when he looked at Genesis and really could not reconcile the Genesis story, he began to doubt that God actually existed. That fed into his sort of theories about evolution and natural selection, all these other things that he started to write about. And then he became virulently anti-God. Actually, he's known for saying, look, my writings, everything that I am, I'm at war with God. Now, there's a lot of speculation that he actually denounced some of his works later when he was on his deathbed. I don't know. Only God knows where he ended up. But the point is that before he actually denounced, if he actually did, a lot of his works, he unleashed something very, very significant that plagues us to this very day. And that would be, first and foremost, white supremacy and racism. He did it in one fell swoop. If you really read his works, it was not only the book on natural selection where he intimated that there's most favored races. His second book, The Descent of Man, he went into a lot more detail and basically ascribing that pure Aryan white genes must be preserved. He was actually paranoid about that. So paranoid, in fact, that he actually married his first cousin. Now, he's a scientist. He knew the sort of the risks to his children as a result of marrying somebody so close within his gene pool. Mm-hmm. But he was paranoid about the intellectual capacity of the Darwinian family roots, and that being diluted by other ethnicities over time. He wanted to do all he could to maintain it. So this was a paranoid man. He married his first cousin. They had 10 children. 7 of them lived normal lives. 3 had, different deficiencies and died early. And so the point is that he was serious about white supremacy. Now, he was serious.
I want to jump in here real quick with you on this process, because you're giving really good information, and a lot of people may not realize that with the history that we just gave about Darwinism, and we can talk about it another day, but I want to make sure you get this point across as clear as possibly can. I want everybody to pay attention. You'll always hear me say something to the end that people know just enough sometimes to hurt themselves and others. And just because you talk loud and you talk long does not mean you're right. And Darwin, who in his quest for life and his scientific viewpoint, I mean, this guy is responsible for concepts of transmutation of species. He does and published works on the origin of species. So this is sort of kind of very endeared to him. So when he's doing this, he's going through this stuff, and evolution just keeps reeking out of him, though he's an Anglican believer. I mean, initially, and born into it, grows up into it, and then starts to do something that many of us don't do: study. All right. So one thing I'm not going to get mad about Darwin about is what he found out scientifically. How he theorized it and how he deified it, a completely different storyline. But I just wanted to interject this, that like you had just made mention of what Darwin's his participation and his interjection of life is for us to pay attention to, make note to, is that he knew just enough through his studies, because I'm one who does believe that Darwin did actually repent. And I do not believe that Darwin started Darwinism as a religion. Someone else came behind him, a individual who was, enamored with his work, found his memoirs after his death, and then Darwinism came into existence as we see it today. But the science mind of Darwin, very important. Did he go off and start tripping? Absolutely, he did. And so that's the part I wanted to touch on. Sometimes you can dig into something and learn just enough knowledge of it, think you fully understand it, and you have just enough knowledge to hurt someone. And that's the thing I think that resonates with me about Darwin. But like you were just talking about, I mean, his theory of biological evolution, Darwin, he's a naturalist, and what he does is he understands a lot of things through study. He did some stuff, but yeah, I want to make sure everybody understands that when he talks about Darwin, he's hitting the dead on the head. And that's where many of us, even as preachers of our faith and politics and politicians of our politics, sometimes you need to really get the whole conclusion before you start spewing out stuff, because you got just enough to hurt yourself and others. Clearly, this man then begins to make and mate within his own gene pool. Well, we know how that works out. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry to interject, but I'm glad I interjected.
Right. But thank you again, Apostle, because the work that you do here with your on Clubhouse and all your other ministries is absolutely vital. What I don't want us to miss as believers is we can start to look at the Genesis story and other parts of the Bible and start to go off, just like Darwin did.
That's right.
Just like Marx did.
Yeah.
Marx started well. He was a diehard Christian.
Diehard.
Just like Lenin did. Lenin was born into a Christian family. Just like Hitler did. Hitler was born into a Christian family and started well. Just like Stalin. All of them started as Protestants and Christians. And because they didn't understand apologetics, which you do here, thank you for the work that you do, Apostle.
Yeah, we be praised.
Because they didn't understand, when they went to college, this is the other thing I want us to get. Our children are at risk. Now, they could be born and raised in the church. They could be hooping and hollering, running around the church every Sunday while they're growing up. And you unleash them within that college. Within 1 year, they come back and they're like demons.
You don't know who they are. I promise you.
You don't know who
You
they
say,
are.
who are you?
And so that pattern
Yes.
existed in the 1800s, believe it or not.
Yes.
All these brothers got turned out with their theology in college.
Yeah.
And we need to take this very seriously. Very seriously. We're giving our children, you know, we're saying, okay, I've grown you up 18 years. Go on now, son, daughter, go on. Okay, y'all do y'all thing. No. We must maintain discipleship with our children.
Absolutely.
This is another very, very important point, because they don't know how to properly weigh and reason, for the most part, because they are not apologists, and we're not parents that teach them how to be apologists.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Mauman, the exception, because he teaches. He's an apologist, and he teaches his kids to do so.
And he teaches it well. He teaches it from the right angle too. Right? Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most of us, we don't. We just say, hey, you know,
just go.
Let's read the word, and so when they start getting into these issues with these Marxist professors wanting to turn them out, guess what? They become easy prey.
Mm-hmm.
These are brilliant men in our history. Marx, Engels, Darwin, Lenin, Stalin, Hitler, all of them started with a Christian foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we can't say, oh, well, that won't happen to my, are you kidding me? These people are brilliant, and it happened to them. So anyway, I digress.
Well, no, don't digress. Don't digress yet, because that's extremely important, because many people don't realize who Hitler started off with. People don't even understand the true lineage of Hitler. You know, there are many, myself included, who subscribe to the fact that Hitler comes from Martin Luther, who started the Protestant movement. That's his literal bloodline. Then there are also others who believe, you know, a lot, but the point that you're making is very true, because I, a pastor, raised my children. My daughter was a mini me. By the time she went to UPenn, no disrespect, I'm not coming for UPenn. I'm just talking about, because it's any college. She went to an Ivy League school where the elite thinkers are. And she gets there and she runs into professors who are hired based on their studies, not necessarily their beliefs, right? Because this is just academia. But when she gets there, her studies draws all types of beliefs. This particular professor had his belief about his studies, which differed from hers, because she came from our household. We trained her up right? That's why it's important for y'all to train up your children in the way they should go. That when they get old and run into these different things that come against them and challenge what they've known since birth, they will now not depart from it, or at least know how to, as we state through the efforts of apologetics, understand it and now use the knowledge to gain wisdom, even when it's challenged. So keeping that point true, when your children leave you, you make sure you leave them as well equipped, got enough food in their bags as they can. So when they get out there, they don't have to bow down and kiss somebody's ring just to get something to eat, because these professors, antagonists of your faith, atheists, different faith systems, trying to make converts, you'll be surprised what your children may give over to if they've not been put on a solid foundation. Go ahead, sir.
Exactly right. So to that point as well, and then I'll continue with the whole Darwin narrative. But to that point, 95 to 98% of all scientists worldwide are atheists, diehard Darwinists and atheists.
Yeah, I gotta agree.
95 to 98%.
I'll give that. Yeah.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying I have to concur with you to a great degree. Yeah.
That was the stat that somebody pointed out, but you know, it's conjecture, but I believe it's true.
Yeah,
because Darwin's work is compelling for the demonic realm. So let me elaborate. So here's what he said: in The Descent of Man, Darwin goes on to describe blacks as apes, savages, gorillas, and subhuman. Mm-hmm. So a lot of us, when we're looking at some of the in the 1800s, we look at Plessy versus Ferguson and Dred Scott decisions and some of these things, you say, well, how could these judges come up with these crazy proclamations about blacks being subhuman in this? This is exactly where they got it from. Mm-hmm. They got it from Darwin. Darwin was a noted scientist, and when he distinguished the world in a particular way, it became the world. It became an ontological, anthropological reality. So when I say that white supremacy did not exist in the modern context that we see it until Darwin distinguished it, that's absolutely true, because he says, look, there is a distinction between white and blacks. Whites, we have pure Aryan, best intellect, best, the best genes, and blacks, they're subhuman. They're still on the evolutionary scale. They're tantamount to apes, gorillas, and savages. They're, and so in that one distinction that he did there, he brought forth white supremacy, because whites are supreme, and he brought forth as well racism. Yeah, you can do what you want because they're subhuman. It's just no big deal, right? So that's where it started. Now, again, people could challenge, well, we always had people that were, feeling different ways about different tribes, and that's just absolutely right. But there was no scientific justification for it. None whatsoever until Darwin came out with these proclamations. Right. And then once he did, judges around the world, everybody around the world took note, says, oh, that's true. That's a fact. So when he made the proclamation that there is no God and that we all evolve, atheism went through the roof. Scientists the world over became atheists, period. Even if they were born Protestant, Catholics, whatever, they became atheists the world over. To this very day, like I said, well over 90% are atheists. So when he made these proclamations and assertions, they had power. They became a reality that didn't exist prior to him making the proclamation. I hope everybody's understanding where I'm going here, because this is important as we delve into Marx and some of the other things happening today. So here's the deal. So he makes these proclamations, and then so blacks are then subjugated, right? Then he makes a proclamation. So for all you women on here in Clubhouse, he said some things about you too. You should be underwear. You should be understand. He said, I looked at the cranial cavities of women and compared them to men, and guess what? Men have much larger cranial cavities. He didn't even think about physiology. He just wanted to disparage women. This is what he said. He says, look, therefore, women have very limited intellectual capacity as compared to men, and they can be relegated. So you want to decry sexism and misogyny? Guess what? Darwin did it, baby. This is the man who unleashed it. And after that, that was why we had the women's suffrage movement with Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, Frederick Douglass, because women were being horribly subjugated. That's right. And treated like that. Well, they can't vote. I mean, women, they don't have the intellectual capacity to vote. They can't work. They just need to be in the kitchen. Something menial, something, This is where it came from, ladies. So before you get on your horse and say, it's all good. Darwin is great. I'm a Darwinist. Guess what? This brother is the one who brought the heat on women. That man said, be barefoot in the kitchen and the bedroom. That's it. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. I'm bothering you. Yes, sir. So continuing on. So we have atheism, white supremacy, racism, sexism and misogyny, and then all of the despots in history. So we always decry what Hitler did, and it was horrible. Absolutely. It was a scourge, and it was a massacre, and it cannot be justified in any way, shape, or form. However, we should know who he dedicated his works to. Correct. Darwin. He says, look, no, Darwin actually, when he made these proclamations about people being subhuman and how we need to sort of, we can summarily disperse of those that are less than our pure white Aryan genes. So what we're doing with the Jews here is perfectly fine. And he pointed to Darwin for his works. Now, some people say, well, how did that come about? Here's how it came about. He and his younger cousin, Francis Galton, were paranoid about their pure white Aryan genes. They realized that other ethnicities were populating at a much faster rate than white European Aryans were. And so they said, look, we need to do so. We should come up with a scientific justification for extermination of other ethnicities. Folks, I'm telling you exactly where this thing came from.
Mm-hmm.
Please refer your mind to abortion, and I'll get that here in a second with you. But this is what happened. He and Francis Galton, they're the fathers of eugenics. Eugenics actually means well-born. Eugenics did not virally come about. It did not, cultures change, societies change, and it just ultimately started to happen. No, Darwin and his cousin, Francis Galton, were white supremacists and paranoid to the nth degree. They needed to figure out a way to exterminate other ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
This is why they did it. So they said, hey, look, why don't we start this thing called eugenics? It means well-born. So us who are well-born, great, we're in good shape. Those who are not, we can exterminate them. That was the justification for Hitler, Stalin, Lenin, Pol Pot, Mao, Mussolini. All of them gave, and in my book, I point out chapter and verse so you can see the connection. They connected all of their despotic, genocidal tendencies to Darwin.
Towards Darwin,
they
yeah.
dedicated it to Darwin.
Yeah.
So, then we come to the United States, real quick. And
then No. Go.
So we come to the United States. Eugenics is cemented as, hey, this is a thing, and we can do it. We should do this to all people that are infirm. We can actually sterilize people to make sure they don't procreate. Hello, us blacks and black women in the 1960s and that sterilization campaigns. Guess what? That was all manifestation of this eugenics movement. Then we had Margaret Sanger come out of that movement, and she says, you know what? I don't want the word to get out, but we need to exterminate the entire Negro population.
Yep.
Now, you can do your own homework.
Please do.
It's been written about and talked about for decades. This is what she said, and so that's why she started her quote-unquote family planning clinics. So, what can I summarize with what we learned about Darwin and what's happening right now? Darwin, out of whole cloth, out of his demented demonic heart, started eugenics because of white supremacy. That's why he started it, okay? Then he exports that sort of mindset to a lady named Margaret Sanger in the United States. And she proceeded to put all of her obituaries and all of her schemes about exterminating blacks into the black community. Now, this is not debatable. So I know you may have some, no, do your homework. Fine, it's fine. Do your homework, it's okay. And you'll see her exact term, what she said. Yeah. We don't want the word to get out. I'm going to start these clinics, but you know what? We can't just put up there, exterminate blacks here. So I'm going to round out my services, a little bit of screening here and there and there. But we don't want the word to get out, but we want to fully exterminate the Negro population. That's why she started. That's why Planned Parenthood exists to this day. To this very day. And I don't think that many people understand this. So I want to take a moment, reset the room, and bring some things back to fruition for you, Kevin McGary. I want to make sure you get the opportunity to reset your thoughts. I don't want to stop your thoughts, but we got to give credit and what we get doing our programming. Moderators, get ready to come back on for about your good minute spiel. But as we set this back in place, many people have to understand, and I will cry it from the rooftops for the rest of my days when I sit with men like this who know how to think, who know where to draw factual historicity and articulate it in a way that the common child can understand it. I gravitate to them. So I'm honored to have Kevin McGary on platform with us. But listen, before we go to break to reset this room, as is customary on Clubhouse, as well as in our platforms of proceeding word, listen, y'all, you think about what Hitler did, and that was the Holocaust was horrid, horrible, and it happened.
horrid, horrible, and it happened. My thing is to not so much focus on the issue, but where it began, where it became. And as mentioned, Stalin, Mao, all of these individuals who have been associated with these human atrocities throughout life all attribute a great deal of their reasoning to what you get from the concepts that Darwin unleashed on this world. But then it goes back further when we talk about Hitler, and just as a quick sidestep, or not sidestep, but instep to the concept on Hitler, people don't realize that Hitler, I really know, we've got just about 99.32% that Hitler and Martin Luther, they are together, and that supremacy was really the thing, because Martin Luther, by the 1500s, as a German professor of theology, helping to lead what we call the Protestant Reformation of Catholic Christendom, he initially was okay with the Bible talking about Jewish people. But when Jews would not convert based on how he was thinking and his supremacist mindset, his disdain for anything Jewish, anything Israel kicked in. I'm still trying to figure out, and maybe you can help me, Kevin, but I don't think you can. Maybe you should get the apologists on platform to help me, because I can't understand how you can actually be given such credit for starting the Protestant movement when you hate the very theme of the Protestants' Bible. It just doesn't make sense to me. And so now you understand how Hitler could use the Bible. Others could use the Bible to support their position and their posture. And this eugenics issue, spawn of Hitler, spawn of control and supremacy. So when we talk about being woke, I find it important that though it has become a mainstream phrase, idiom, coin phrase, catchphrase, before you just throw it out there. In the hood, woke means something different. But in politics, and when you keep hearing these things, woke, you got to understand what this is rooted in. And what this dear brother Kevin McGary is bringing out to us is something extremely important, especially for those of you who are politically connected and understanding and are working on community issues to bring people together. When you hear these phrases in certain pockets, you need to know what this looks like, where it's coming from. And I think this book does a wonderful job helping to decry all the things that will put you in a state you really do not want to be in. So from eugenics all the way down to even your Protestant Christianism, please, in all of your getting, get understanding. Moderators, tell us why we're here so we can reset the room. Having this great guest with us, Kevin McGary, on the book Y'all Woked Up from the Y'all Woked Up University. Moderators, tell us why we're here.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here with us today in the preceding word, where we have with us today Kevin McGary, who is the author of Woked Up, and he's been interviewed by our Apostle V.W. Jones Sr. Don't forget, we're here in the preceding word every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join us this evening at 7 p.m. for our weekly Bible study, and again tomorrow for Bible Book Club at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We honour the Sabbath, so we'll be here on Friday at 11 p.m. and then we'll pick our studies up again at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. And also we extend an invitation for you to be with us here on Sunday morning at 10:15, where we broadcast live from Facebook for our Mora After Sabbath service. And we also extend the invitation for you to join us through Clubhouse. Don't forget, we're still encouraging you to share this broadcast today. Thank you for all of those that shared it through Clubhouse. Don't forget, if you're on Facebook, please add comments, like and share. And also to note that if you have a question, do put that up. We want to say thank you for being here with us. And don't forget, we've got visibility on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and also on Facebook. Thank you so much, Apostle. Back to you.
Thank you very much again. We're honored to be here with you all. This is the Proceeding Word, yours truly, Apostle V.W. Jones, and we have given way to a subject and a book that I think all of you should be able to get your hands on and learn and understand. I don't care what your ethnicity, I don't care what your faith is, I don't care what your position financially in society, I don't care what your financial class, your political class. Please, in order for us to ever have unity and unification of a community and some sense of tranquility and what we all hope for, peace amongst everyone, we must understand some things. Today's topic is being brought to you by a gentleman I got a great opportunity to meet. His name is Kevin McGary. He is the author of the book Woke Up, and he coins this element, and they have this particular institution called Y'all Woke Up University. He is also the co-founder of the Every Black Life Matters, from the cradle to the grave, and how every Black life matters. You can go to everyblm.com and look them up in that respect. He is co-authoring or co-founding that with Neil. Say it, Neil. I can't say it right. Neil, is it?
Ramen. Just go
Ramen. Neil Mamen. And great guys, great hearts, great mindsets. And they're just simply looking for pathways to unity and pathways to doing away with the, this injustice, but yet understanding what you're dealing with and not just going off of coin phrases and or programs and movements that are being pushed forward to get digital currency. And all you're getting, get understanding. So these great men that have established this, EBLM, again, everyblm.com. You can go and check them out there. But we brought on the book from, and we'll bring on the other co-author, the co-founder of EBLM later on to talk about some apologetics. But this great man is Kevin McGary. He is also the author of the book Woke Up, finally putting an axe to the taproot of white supremacy and racism in America. Take that down for a second, but we are remembering that we've been dealing with my series on the state of a Black American citizen with a kingdom perspective. He aligns with his concept, we find, has a great deal of alignment with what we perceive, we believe, and we project from this concept that's really taken the globe by storm. Though every country has its own set of racism and issues and problems and injustices and inequalities, here in the United States of America, we are dealing with a specific thing. And he addresses this not only from the melanation and the racism, but also from understanding the origins via faith and, watch this, politics you need to pay attention to. So listen, not only do I want to give some digital currency to this great author and his work, I want you guys, if you're on Clubhouse, to go ahead and take this opportunity to like his profile. He is new to the platform of Clubhouse, but he's not new to YouTube and everything else. They are out there, they're doing great things all over the globe. But I want you to go ahead, if you're on our Clubhouse, please do me a favor and hit his profile and like his profile. Also, you're going to want to get used to knowing Neil Mamen. You're going to want to get used to liking him. He's going to have some great rooms opening up as well. They're going to be doing some things together. You want to be a part of that when they go live. They speak very, very well, and they speak accurately. They're like me. If they don't know something, they won't speak about it until they can vet it and vet it rightly. So I want you guys to take opportunity. Let's give them some digital currency. It don't cost you a dime. Like their profiles, like their pages. They will be coming out with some other books, platforms on Clubhouse that both Kevin will be bringing up later on. And I want you guys to like them. And as well, if you've not ever liked the Proceeding Word, you better go up to that little green schoolhouse at the top of the page, hit like, and then hit all the other platforms that we have available, all of our other clubs. So when we go live, you'll be tuned in immediately and be notified. If you're on Facebook, you already know to like the page. We're hoping to see you guys tuning in later on. But today, we want to give back over to a great author with a great purpose, and I find a great need, and that is being woke up. Okay, Kevin, back to you, man. I'm glad to have you with us. We're going to give you the floor, and let's go ahead. We got about another 30 minutes, and we're going to wrap all this up. Go ahead, sir.
Excellent. Thank you again. So I spent a lot of time going through Darwin as the root, the taproot for all of these maladies, all these evils that we're currently going through today. And again, the only reason why is because today's woke movement is connected so closely to Marx, Karl Marx and Marxism, that we had to start with Darwin, his protege, his mentor, his discipler, his works that were relied upon so heavily. Both he and Engels, Friedrich Engels, relied on Darwin's work, and it really changed their life. So Darwin, let me just take inventory real quick, and then we'll transition to Marx. Darwin's inventory of things that he literally unleashed, and that way distinguished and started in its modern day context are white supremacy, racism, eugenics, sexism and misogyny, atheism, and mass genocide, and the outcome in our current U.S. would be abortion. It's directly connected to white supremacy and racism. I don't want anybody to miss this. You can be pro-abortion if you want, but you must understand where it comes from. This may be an inconvenient truth for you, but if you support it, hear me clear, you are, by definition, this is not me being judgmental, by definition, you are a white supremacist and racist, because that's why it was started. So you can't conveniently excuse yourself and say, look, I'm pro-abortion, I'm pro-gay, it's fine, but I'm not a white supremacist right now. No. It was started because of that.
And Kevin,
they're paranoid about their white supremacy. So, and it has no scientific justification whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are that, guess what? You own it. And it's fine. It's fine. Just say, look, I'm pro-abortion, therefore I'm a white supremacist and racist because that's what I want to be. Okay. That's okay. That's perfectly okay. You can do that. But you just have to own it. So anyway, going on to Marx. So Marx learned all this stuff from, he was heavily influenced by Darwin. And he and Engels started to work together. Now, Marx was, if there's anybody close to a demon in the flesh, it had to be. He, as a matter of fact, Engels said it's like he's possessed by 10,000 demons.
Yeah, he was weird.
He was maniacal, always in a rage, boils over his body for over 20 years. Every square inch of his body had boils on it. He was while he says, I'm here for the small man, this guy was not only a womanizer and an abuser, but he was a pioneer, if you will, for sex slavery.
Mm-hmm.
This guy had a live-in worker. She was a maid for he and his family. He didn't pay her one plug nickel. She slaved over this family for well over a decade. And he didn't pay her a dime.
Mm-hmm.
And he used her for sex,
mm-hmm.
of which he then, when his son, he had a son born out of that sex relationship he had with this sex worker. So before the feminists started talking about, I need to be a Marxist because Marx was good, he was good to feminism. Excuse me. If there was a pioneer for sex slavery, Karl Marx, that was him.
Y'all woke up? Are y'all woke up yet? Are y'all woke up?
Y'all woke up? Come on now. Come on with me. Y'all get woke. So Marx did that. Not only that, but he said, look, he was so antagonistic to God. He said, look, myself and Engels and all of these, sociological and on economics and sociology and politics. But my main goal in life is not that, though, those things, whether communism actually comes to fruition or not. And by the way, he didn't see a lot of his fruits. He died before that stuff happened and actually took root. But he said, I want everybody to understand my only goal and my primary goal in life, my only goal really is to dethrone God. So you have a lot of black pastors, you have a lot of, pastors in general that are fully embracing Marxism. And what I want to know is, how's that working out?
How's that working out?
He said that his primary motivation was to dethrone God. And he went further. He said, by the way, if you are a Christian, if you are a person of faith, you are disqualified. You cannot follow me and my socialism, Marxism, communism, and be a person of faith. He says these are completely different. And he was absolutely right. That was one very, very true statement.
Very true statement.
So we have all these apologists for Marx. Marx was very virulently hateful towards God or any notion of God. And so that was him. Now, a lot of the people, so here's what happened. People like the Hitler, Stalin, all these guys started to adopt Marxist philosophies. And they got their justification for extermination from Darwin. And Marx was also all in on eugenics and all of that stuff. But they got the, hey, we can abuse Christians and make sure that because Christians they're all on an opiate of the masses. These people are just ridiculous. There is no such thing as God, blah, blah, blah. And Karl Marx motivated them to start imprisoning Christians. So one of the examples they bring out in the book is Romanian prisons in the early 1900s, early to mid 1900s, I guess, relied on Marx and his works, and they would get these priests and these clergy members, and they would literally put them in jail until they denounced Christendom, until they denounced Jesus. Now, the tactics that they did to do this were the most inhumane thing you could ever imagine. One of the tactics, and there's a lot, but one of the tactics was, and I hope you guys can hold your lunch down, but one of the tactics was they would imprison these prisoners, and every day they would come by their cell and say, do you denounce Christian? Do you denounce Jesus yet? And these pastors and these even young people would say, nope. I'm staying with me. I'm staying with my faith. They had these pails that were in each of these areas of the prison, the Romanian prison, that people did their business in, I'll put it like that. And so these pails with both urine and feces in these pails, the stench was unbelievable throughout the prison. They would then get those pails and force the head of these people into the pails of feces and urine from other prisoners, until they would basically, like waterboarding, they would have to ingest it and all that because they would be choking on this stuff. Now, if anybody,
right,
I've never heard such a horrible torture in my life.
And there are more.
Beat some of these atrocities.
And there are more.
Oh, there's a lot more. They did all kinds of horrid things. But that one, really, I was like, I can't. So these people would be choking. They come up and they still not denounce Jesus. And then they do this multiple times and multiple days. And ultimately, a lot of these people ended up dying of various viruses and all of that. But all of that, they laid at the feet of Marx. They said, no, Karl Marx told us through his works, this is perfectly viable. We need to make sure that you people are not, eating the opiates of religion. And so they tortured Christians this way.
Right.
So here's the thing. So these are the things that comes out of Marxism. Yes, it's an economic philosophy and all of that. Marx himself never worked a day in his life, which mirrors the socialists that we have in the Senate and in the Congress. They never really worked a real job, so they had no idea what a small business was like, what it means to run a small business, and therefore, in their mind, continuing to print money is perfectly okay. It's fine. It's no problem. And, but the problem is that they have no concept of business, just like Marx did. So all of his philosophies are based upon, again, nonsense, because he never worked. He has no understanding. He had no clue what it meant to run economies. And that's why you had every country that's tried socialism, Marxism, communism it hasn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that it ended up in is over 100 million innocents being slaughtered,
right, because
of those philosophies. So if that doesn't prove to you that Marxism is demonism, I don't know what will. Look at the fruits.
Right.
So that's Marxism. Now, Karl Marx was also a virulent racist, hateful. His daughter married a guy from Cuba, a Cuban guy, but the guy was a dark-skinned Cuban. Marx said, "Look, you married this guy Negrillo, called him the N-word constantly, called him gorilla." Marx, even though he was born of Jewish ancestry, he called Jews the N-word, those N-word Jews. He was a very racist and hateful man.
Mm-hmm.
So, y'all get woke up. How could people, notably Black Lives Matterers, those guys, those folks, those people, say, look, we're Marxist revolutionary. We're proud Marxist revolutionaries. Do you understand what you're saying? Have you looked at the fruits of this man and his notorious attitude towards blacks? And you're proud?
All because you said Black Lives Matters and and all you're get understanding. That's all I cry for. That's all I want you guys to get. Do you understand what you are endorsing? Now, I'm just not a big fan of it, Kevin. I'm sorry. I wasn't when it came out, when I saw how everything shifted. And then there's other parts of this that for me, and maybe not for you, are just as appalling. But definitely the way that you sculpt out this particular piece on understanding that the movement itself, though it may have started by a melanated individual, it was then funded by a completely different organization who has done everything in its power all of its life to, as we said, creep into systems that they themselves can learn how to manipulate and control. And if you just throw money at most problems or most kinds of issues that were relative to the BLM, all right, you can pretty much win the leadership over, and basically, ultimately, you might not like me saying this, silence them from the very purpose that the mission began with. And so it's just a harsh fact. Money is very persuasive. I do not say money is evil. I do not say that money is evil. I do say that your love for it or your worship of it is, because you need money. Money answers matters. But when you are being, given money to, in a very tricky way, silence you or make what you have to say of none effect because you don't understand what's funding you. It's an interesting thing. So, even down to, we have the politics of it, we have the morality of it. Kevin breaks this stuff down in his book, and we can't let him just tell y'all all about this book on this platform. We're not going to do that, Kev. They got to buy the book. So here's the deal. Here's the deal, everybody. You got to buy this book. Now, y'all know me. I do not do anything that is about offerings and all that stuff. We teach you what giving is. We show you in the Torah what it means. You and Yahweh have that relationship. It's between you and him. My job is to teach you what Yahweh calls giving, what Elohim calls giving, what the Torah calls giving and tithing and offerings, whether you believe in them or not. That's between you and Elohim. My job is to teach you. But what I will say to you is, if you've ever looked for a place in an area to sow a good seed, I'm not one of those that gets on here, oh, give money, give money. We don't do it. But this book, I would hope, if not just for the sense of understanding from a different lens, the politics behind some things you've lent your resource to, understand what you're backing. Understand what you're supporting, because not just since George Floyd, but way beyond that, did you need to be, as it were, awoke. Now we use this definition, in our books, of what woke means and how woke is and where woke started. It was basically understanding the underlayers and understanding those things that are aligning where you are and getting into a perspective of politics that can help move your community beyond some of the narratives that are being sold you. Be it redlining, be it racism, be it eugenics, all of these things. But when you subscribe to something that you don't know its roots, you are giving growth. You are giving what we call hydronation. You're giving what we call in agriculture fertilization to a tree that can only give you one kind of fruit. And we don't really take the time to pay attention to that. Eugenics, y'all, Planned Parenthood, y'all need to understand Planned Parenting is not helping you plan your family. Planned Parenting, they don't tell you, has an etc. mark in front of it. That is a ruling, factious, evil, supremacist group desiring to tell you what you should and you cannot do based on their projections on how they're going to run your community, and you can only do this, that, or the other. And it's hidden beautifully in plain sight by observations and medical assistance and medical consideration to a group of people who can't afford to pay for any type of a physician, any type of a medical service that is for their benefit, as opposed to the benefit of someone else. I said that with my whole heart, and I will literally take that to the Supreme Court. So before you get behind a whole bunch of the stuff that you talk about, Brother Kevin McGary, in this book alone, in this Woke Up University, y'all Woke Up University, and this book called Woke Up, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be purchasing several of these books, but he's going to tell you how you can purchase this book. I don't know if it's all on internet, if he's got just ebooks or he's got hardbacks and softbacks and soft covers, but we brought him on here. So we already have in our heart to sow into this ministry, sow into this book, so that he can give copies to people who might not be able to afford them. That's how this ministry works, to support those that come on here. We don't get anything from this other than you getting information so that we all can have a better relationship with the Father and all the things that are practically happening in our atmosphere. So, Brother Kevin, we're going to take this moment right now and shift to the part that I know you like, but you don't probably care to talk about. I'm going to be your hornblower. So, bro, how do we get this book? How much does it cost? What we got to do? Where we at? What's going on? Is y'all woke yet? Wake us up about this book and the cost of procurement.
Awesome. Well, so here's the deal. You can go to Amazon and you just type in Woke Up McGary and it'll come up. Or you can just type in Woke Up. I think we've had so many hits lately, it'll just come up if you type in Woke Up. And so it's $19.99. Here's the thing. You are going to want the hard copy. It's also on Audible. Audible is only $9.99, but this is the kind of book, it's heavily footnoted. You're going to want to tell your friends, your family, your children, grandchildren, whoever, all the wokesters around you, the exact quotes from these people so they can begin to change their narrative and their perspective. And the only way you can really get that is if you get the hard copy. You can highlight, you can go and then you have all of the footnotes there to follow it through. So that's the best way is go online and do that. You should be able to hit this link right here. I think it's an active link. It'll take you right there. You can get it right now.
So
you can get it in a couple days.
For those who don't know that, the link that he's talking about, if you're in Clubhouse, first off, I want you to do, he's got a green bean. He's up next to me. He's at the center. If you do your PTR and pull your screen down, you'll see him there, as well as his dear friend and co-labor in faith and other issues, Neil Mammon. And you're going to be able to, I want you to like their pages. I want you to like their profiles, give them that digital currency. But more importantly, the financial currency is in supporting the book. Now, here's the catch. When you go on Amazon, there's a way that they do it on Amazon. But Kevin, is there a way they can go directly to you? Because Amazon gets its portion. We want to make sure that this stuff can get as much capital to you in helping you to put more books like this together, because you're very articulate. Your bibliography is I think very good, as well as your historicity and your knowledge to know the history so that we can get it in a very quick serving. How can we, is there another avenue that they use? Is there a website, not just Amazon? That's cute and that's quick for the techies and those who ain't got time. They on lunch break. Just go to Amazon and Google him, put him up in search bar and I'll Google him, whatever. But is there a place that we can get that goes directly to you where the shares of the proceeds go greater to the ministry you are propagating?
No, actually, I think if you want it in a timely fashion, the most efficient way, and Amazon has been masterful at really cutting down the amount of time it takes to get a book to you. I mean, they can do this now in a couple of days. So the most efficient way is to just go to Amazon and just buy it. That's fine.
Done.
No problem. Yeah, we don't have. I'm not looking to maximize profits on this or anything like that. I just want to make sure everybody gets the information in the most timely and efficient manner as possible. The best way to do that is just go to Amazon, buy it real quick. You have it by the weekend. You get your weekend read in. And then by next Monday, you'll be armed, ready to go, and you'll be ready to talk to those who and help bring people home. The idea is, I didn't write this to disparage wokesters or wokeism, but I wrote it to bring to light the real issues underlying it, and to help people that would classify themselves as such to understand. Okay, this is what you're classifying yourself as now. You have the information. You still want to be that. So the idea is to give you enough information so you could actually determine if you want to be a white supremacist and racist. Fine, continue to stand with the wokesters, because that's what they are. Now, a lot of them are useful idiots. They don't know, and you'll see that in the book. And I don't mean that disparagingly or
right.
that, but I mean it the way Lenin. That was Lenin's term. Useful idiots. Now, what Lenin said is, look, people will follow us ideologically without really knowing or even connecting the dots to their own principles, their own morals, their own faith. But they'll follow us because ideologically we can present a narrative that emotionally gets them moving. And that is the condition of the whole woke movement right now. Most people don't even know what it is. They don't know where it started. They have no idea that what it's based in. And this book is to, awaken them. Fine. Let's get woke.
That mirrors that same group. It basically mirrors the I'm grabbing my head while I do this, y'all. I'm just painfully saying this. That thing of, people will follow you because you have a narrative. They don't have to search it out. If it sounds good, they think it sounds good, they'll just go with it. That sounds like Christendom. I'm going to get in trouble. So let me help you, because we got to shut this down today. I am so honored to have you with us, Brother Kevin. I'm going to give you an opportunity to come back and share just a little bit more with us. And those of you who viewed in on the Facebook, the YouTube, the IG, the Clubhouse, all the areas that we've put this for. We're hoping that you guys will, one, like the page, go Google, and for his webpage will take you, for those of you who have it on Clubhouse, will take you right to Amazon if you want to procure the books. And again, I'm hoping you guys will give him the digital currency, because I think this is a movement of information that we all need to have. All right. Many people are Christians and don't even know why you're called a Christian. Many people are quote unquote woke and don't even know what you woke up to, or what you woke up within you that you probably needed to leave sleep. This book gives us some information on that. That is not a part of his press kit whatsoever. But I want to put this out there for those of you who have not had the pleasure, as I have, to sit and talk with him face to face and watch his eyes glisten while he spoke words of his history and his research and his studies, and engage sound conversation. This book will help the reader discover who originated the classifications of race and populations. Again, also to help you understand the pioneer of modern day white supremacy, racism, misogyny, sexism, atheism, mass genocide, eugenics, and the disciples of Karl Marx, which we call Marxism. This book will help you also understand the pioneers of paranoid environmentalism. Now, I do believe that the world is in its issue and its manifested issue. There are eschatology issues behind that. There is a ozone layer that is depleting. However, there is this level of paranoia that is, again, one, against prophecy, because there are prophetic utterances of Peter and John that tell you what will happen to this earth. That's going to happen. You can't stop it, but the paranoia behind it. So he talks about that in this book as well, and the resulting impacts on determined need for the scientific justification of extermination and how it affects the ethnic minorities. He also going to help you in this book understand Charles Darwin. He's going to unmask the evil schemes, again, of racism and this determined war against God. He's going to help you understand who Karl Marx is, put him and make him unmasked, this grotesque grifter, and this sex slave individual whose obnoxious racism and overarching desire to dethrone God himself. The grotesque, inhumane impacts Marxism's enshrined and incalculated towards Christians. You're going to also learn in this book wokeism's founding principles and reprobations. One of the other things you'll learn in this book is delusions and ineffectiveness of anti-racist and the prevailing reconciliation trainings. I'll repeat that: the delusions and ineffectiveness of anti-racists and prevailing reconciliation trainings. And the last thing, which is why I enjoy talking with him, he doesn't just explain and harp on the problems. Like me, I don't just explain and harp on the problems. We also have solutions, real, vettable, viable, effective solutions. So in this book, you're going to learn the remedies for real racial healing, real unity, and real reconciliation amongst humanity. So for this reason, we applaud and we sort of kind of enjoy being able to promote the work that this great man has done on one front, and then the work that he's co-laboring to do on another front. Kevin McGary, Y'all Woked Up University, the book Y'all Woked Up. You can go to any of the pages we have pinned up on Facebook, we have pinned up on Clubhouse, we have pinned up on YouTube, pinned up on IG. Guys, like the page, go after this information. Again, you choose this day what you're going to do. We're not forcing you just because you like Apostle V.W. Jones to go into this. I have given opportunity to investigate, and what I have found follows the pathway in which I like to operate when sharing vital information with people. We're trying to bring a community of love and unity and understanding too, so we can all go and stand before the Father. But when you say you woke, are y'all really woke up yet? Do you really know? So, Doc, we got about another 1, 2, 3. We got 3 more minutes left on this program, my dear brother. I'm going to give you half that time, man. You got 1 minute and 30 seconds to share whatever you like. And that platform, Kevin McGary of Y'all Woke Up. What you got?
Thank you again, Apostle. You are just so generous as a host, and I really appreciate being here and all of the folks that are here. So get woke up. Get woke up. You get woke up by getting the book. It is compelling and provocative, and it's educational, and so it's going to give you all that you need in order to make an assessment about the entire woke movement. Additionally, I would encourage you to go to my YouTube channel, Y'all Woke Up University. I put just a couple of shorts out there, but we're going to start some podcasts and a lot of additional shorts. You're going to want to hear those tidbits that I produce on an ongoing basis. And so please join that as well. Subscribe to that channel because that's where you're going to get a lot of the additional. Please go to our website, everyblm.com, everyblm.com. To become a partner there, you can sow into our ministry however you want. But at least you can find out more about us and what we're actually doing to make a difference. So I thank you. I bless you. And again, it's just a privilege to be here.
Well, we're honored to have you, and we pray that we've been able to bless you. We are going to be purchasing at least 10 of your books so that you will be able to give them to people you deem worthy and may not be able to provide it. So expect that check coming from VWJ Ministries. I think DKM Ministries will also be purchasing 10 of those books as well. And you do not send those books to us. Just give me my one signed copy. And then the rest, you determine where you want to put those books and to whose hands you want to share them with as you go about ministering across this globe. We appreciate you coming in and thinking it not robbery to be with us. And we do pray and trust that Yahweh, our Elohim, will guide you and that the words of your mouths and meditations of your heart will be acceptable in his sight. And I'm still going to have to, I'm forgiving you though. I'm going to forgive you. I had aught with you, but I no longer have aught with you. You had me calling this man Mammon all this time. Neil, it was not my fault, sir. I promise you. Is Neil still with us?
No problem.
We're going to look forward to having you come and talk about apologetics really, really soon, which is another very, very interesting subject matter. Listen, if you guys have not had the chance to listen to, if y'all think Kevin and you like the way he does it, you're also going to enjoy equally the conversations you can have with Nick Mammon as well. It is a joy. Neil Mammon. I'm trying to get the rhyming right. Called you Nick. Neil Mammon. All right. He's going to be coming on and we're going to talk about apologetics. And that time will be coming soon as we get both of our administrators to correlate times and schedules to have the interviews. Well, Zion, I got to let you go. This is the proceeding word. We're so glad to have had you. Moderator's going to come on one more time and tell you why we're here, and then we're going to let you go.
Thank you so much for being with us here today in the Preceding Word, where we broadcast every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For the topic today, don't forget it is on replay and you can catch this broadcast as well as many more of Apostles' teaching on Facebook at VWJ Ministries and also over at YouTube. We'll be back here this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly Bible study, and again tomorrow at Thursday for our Bible book club, where we're continuing to take a slow and exhaustive read through the book of Genesis, and that's at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are continuing to honor Sabbath, which we do every Friday evening, commencing at 11 p.m. And then we'll pick up those studies Saturday at 11 a.m., where we are solely and exclusively in the Torah. That is from Genesis right down to Deuteronomy, where we look at the how to Sabbath. And then you will find us here again on Sunday morning, where we come together for our morrow after Sabbath service, which commences at 10:15 a.m. We broadcast live from Facebook, and we extend the invitation for you to be with us here in Clubhouse. Don't forget, you can pick up today's recording from YouTube and also from Facebook. Don't forget to pick up some of the memes that are up on VWJ Ministries on Instagram. It's been a pleasure serving you, and I say thank you. And to Kevin and to your team, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Apostle, Yahweh be praised for your life. Back to you.
Thanks again to our moderators. We got the best mods. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Neil. If you guys get on Clubhouse, you guys are going to need a good moderating team, okay? Your mods make your program. They make you look good. Trust me when I tell you. Also, if he decides to open up a room or a club on Clubhouse, I want you guys to go ahead and give that a little bit of credence and look it over. But make sure you guys have at least followed these individuals. You'll see them all with the yellow circles around their names, and also follow mine. I got the blue jacket on, the nice looking guy at the top right there. Yeah, go ahead. Hit that, like us. Anytime we go live, you will be then brought in and at least notified, and you can choose to join or not so much. All right. But let's make sure we give some digital currency, spread love, share love. Love will find its way back to you. Remember, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh our Elohim. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to share. I hope that the words that have been spoken, maybe some not in necessary total agreement, but Father, in consideration that we might actually process something from a different lens and or a different perspective with a vettable process and foundation of information. I ask you today, help us to see you through all things practically. And as we share your gospel, we ask that you would allow us to be effective in that. Bless these ministries, bless all that have gathered and come in, bless those who popped in and popped out, did not have any much time to stay, but would probably go back and watch these replays. Let them be as effective there as they were live. This is my earnest prayer. In the mighty name of our Savior, Yeshua HaMashiach, we all say, now may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and be gracious unto you. May Yahweh lift his countenance upon you and grant you all his shalom.
Open the book, the word itself.
And we'll talk with you guys again soon. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you again. Shalom Aleichem. The room will end in 5,
Shalom.
4.
Thank you for tuning in today. I hope that this message has been a blessing to your very life and your soul, and more importantly, your walk with the King. Well, we have come to the end. I hope that you would consider becoming either a partner with us in ministry, or if you're not already a kingdom citizen, consider becoming one. By doing that, you can sow into this ministry so that we are able to continue to teach this type of ministry at a grand scale. Join us on all of our social media platforms and visit our webpage to make your contributions sure. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Shalom Aleichem.